Well, good evening. On behalf of Louisiana Tech President Dr. Jim Henderson and Director of Athletics Ryan Ivey, we want to welcome you to the 2025 Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Tonight is about honoring 8 individuals who brought so much joy and pleasure, along with recognition to our beloved university through their accomplishments as student athletes, as coaches, and as administrators. And tonight they will join a fraternity of the all-time greats in Bulldog and Lady Texter history. I'm Malcolm Butler. My good friend Teddy Allen and I are excited to be a part of this. Over the next 90 minutes, we will relive some of the wonderful memories and moments that make the careers of these 8 La Tech legends so special to them and so special to the Louisiana Tech family as well. A little bit about Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Fame. The first class was inducted in 1984. It included Joe Aye, Terry Bradshaw, Atlee Donald, Garland Gregory, Pam Kelly, Maxie Lambright, and Jackie Moreland. Tonight, we will induct the 21st class in the history of this Hall of Fame, and by the end of this evening, it will be 129 members strong. Now, real quickly, let's take a look at our starting lineup. We'll have an opportunity to visit with all eight of these individuals a little bit later, but we want to go ahead and recognize them. He started every game of his 127-game Dunkin' Dog career. He sparked his teams to a pair of NCAA tournaments, one NIT Final Four. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wayne Smith. He was a 3-time national champion, named one of the 50 greatest players in Joe Aye Stadium history, and a member of the 100-year anniversary team, Mr. Randy Crouch. They call him Chief, a man who never missed a day of work, a workout, or a game in his 30-year career as an equipment manager, an athletic trainer, and many times a psychologist. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Wilkinson. She was the 2-time Western Athletic Conference Player of the Year, the 2003 WNBA Rookie of the Year, and a 3-time WNBA champion, Miss Cheryl Ford. He led the NCAA in receptions in 1976. He was an All-American at Louisiana Tech and a 4-year NFL veteran with the Atlanta Falcons, Mr. Billy Rickman. He was a 4-time All-Gulf States Conference honoree, 2-time All-American, and NAIA All-Star, the late Dr. Ray Germany. 1970 All-American linebacker, one of the 50 greatest players in Joe Aye Stadium history, and named to the 100-year anniversary team, Mr. Ronnie Alexander. The longest tenured head coach in Louisiana Tech athletics history, 21-time Coach of the Year honoree in 4 different conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gary Stanley. Tonight is a celebration of their careers and their accomplishments, and we're looking forward to it. We got a wonderful crowd. Should be a lot of fun. At this time, if you're able, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for our invocation. We're thankful tonight to welcome one of our current day student athletes, a young lady who epitomizes what being a Bulldog is all about. Providing our invocation tonight is 3-time All-Conference USA pitcher, Miss Allie Floyd.
Will everyone please bow their heads? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the meal and the opportunity to break bread together in fellowship. May you bless the hands that prepared it and bless it to the nourishment of our bodies. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight and celebrate the contributions of those who represented Louisiana Tech University on the court, field, track, and the training room. Father, we pray for your blessings over tonight's celebration as we not only recognize the player, but also the person. We thank you for the leadership they had in their time here at Louisiana Tech. We ask for a special blessing over all the inductees here tonight and their families. Father, we ask for safe travels home for those who are many miles away and those who live right down the street. God, we ask for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Allie. Our next speaker joined the Louisiana Tech athletics family in February of 2024, and after stints as the AD at Stephen F. Austin and Austin P. He's a strong believer in making a lasting impact on the lives of Louisiana Tech student athletes during their college experience. Along with President Jim Henderson, I personally believe the duo makes the strongest 1-2 leadership punch our university has ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Louisiana Tech AD Ryan Ivey.
Thank you, Malcolm. Good evening. You know, I can't think of a better way to end what has been an incredible week. And if you think about the opportunity that we had this week to celebrate our 100th homecoming here at Louisiana Tech, and it started, all week. We had activities all week. We had a chance to honor our distinguished alumni this week as well. We had a chance to have a parade and a pep rally. We had two Bulldog icons, Louisiana Tech icons, and Terry Bradshaw and Kix Brooks that came back. We held a fundraising golf tournament with their name on it on Friday. Last night, we had a chance to witness our Bulldogs beat Sam Houston in convincing fashion, and so appreciate Coach Cumby's here as well. So, Coach Cumby, thank you for doing that for us. We had a chance this afternoon to witness our volleyball program sweep New Mexico State, and then we get a chance tonight to honor some incredible individuals that have the opportunity, that have earned the opportunity, I should say, to take their rightful place amongst some of the greatest to ever wear a Louisiana Tech uniform. And when I got here a year and a half ago, I talked a lot about the history and how humbling it is, and I truly mean that. It is very humbling to be able to say that I get to be the Vice President and Director of Athletics here at Louisiana Tech University. Because when I think of the greats that have walked these halls and on this campus, individuals that have gone on and done extraordinary things within their sport at the highest level and have achieved greatness at everything that they've tried to do, not only in the sport that they chose, but with life after as well. That is a very humbling thing for an individual and someone like myself who truly believes that athletics is the greatest motivator and teacher that we have in life. And I think when you think about these individuals that are being honored tonight, you understand how athletics can play a role in making successful people. And the opportunities and the lessons that they learned by being a part of this great institution, by being a part of this athletics department, how they help to shape and mold themselves, but also those around them. Their teammates, maybe their students, their players, their patients, as we learned earlier, maybe sports psychology was here before there was really sport psychology, I've heard from Sam. And I think when you think about all of that, right, and you think about the history that this place is, I can think of no better place to be able to honor these individuals. Before we do that tonight, though, I do have a few thank yous. As I mentioned, we've had a ton of activities this week, and I just want to take a quick moment to thank the athletics department staff. I can't tell you the countless amount of hours that these individuals put in to get this place set up for tonight, to turn over from last night's football game. I know I walked out of here at 1 a.m. and we still had individuals that were up and going, and they were back at it about 7:30 a.m. this morning as well to make sure that we had. So if I could, our athletics department staff, if you don't mind, stand up, maybe wave, be recognized for all your efforts. We got some in the back. They won't come out here and do it, but I can't tell you. We've got a great team. We have a great opportunity to really showcase our student athletes. I'm really proud to be a part of this staff and the opportunity as well. I also want to thank all of you for coming. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to celebrate with you tonight. Time is the most precious commodity that we all have, and the reason and the ability for you to come here and share your time with us tonight, we certainly appreciate it. And then to our inductees, thank you. Thank you for choosing Louisiana Tech. Thank you for doing what you did, for the sacrifices that you've made, for the example that you've set for all of us. As I talk to our student athletes on a regular basis, I often talk about the fact that we stand on your shoulders, that what we do here today and how we're going to move forward as an athletics department is because of the success and the example that you have laid before us. And we are so very thankful for you. We're very thankful for you choosing Louisiana Tech, and we're thankful for you being here tonight and being our honored guest. And I look forward to hearing the stories and learning more about this great place. So thank you so much for being here, and appreciate everything that you guys have done. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the 15th president of our great university, Dr. Jim Henderson. Dr. Henderson came to Louisiana Tech last January of 2024, and one of the things that he had to do, I don't know, one of the two, however he wants to describe it, he had an opportunity to hire a new athletics director, and I am very thankful for him choosing me. And he may tell you a story or two about it, I don't know, but it has been an incredible partnership. I have been an athletics director finishing my 13th year, and I have worked for 7 presidents in those 13 years. And I don't know if that's my fault or not, but I can tell you that I have not worked for an individual that has cared more about athletics, that cares more about the success of our student athletes on and off the competition surface, and I've not had a better partner than Jim Henderson. And so, Dr. Henderson, appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, good evening. Thank you all so much, and thank you, Ryan. He is, I think we struck gold when we hired Ryan Ivey as our athletics director, and he's done remarkable work because he surrounds himself with good people, people that represent Louisiana Tech and Louisiana Tech's values. I am, back earlier this evening, I ran into a dear friend of ours, Frank Bright, and most of you know who Frank Bright is. If you don't, he's one of the fastest 80-year-olds running the Boston Marathon these days. I asked Frank to come give a commencement address May a year ago, and he wanted to check the date, and he says, okay, I can do that, because the Saturday before, he was hiking to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back up on the same day. So Frank told me that he wished he had the mic tonight, because he would tell everyone what Sam Wilkinson hit his senior year at Fair Park High School for the season, and it was 391. Sam, is that close? Yes, that's pretty good, 391. Folks, my connection to this institution was originally through my dad, but Dad had a philosophy. He didn't want me playing pee-wee sports in an organized fashion, because he said, I want you to wait till you just can't stand it, the hunger anymore, and then we'll decide if you're ready, because when you're finished, I want you to hunger for it as much as you did when you started. And I begged him and pleaded to let me play football. And finally, he relented and he says, okay, but before you play, you're going to learn how to play. And he brought me from Northwest Arkansas to A.L. Williams football camp right here on the Tech's campus. And Coach, you know how much he loved you, but I want you to know how much that formed me in 2 reasons. One, we learned how to play football, but I met a guy named Coach Alan Joseph, who led an FCA circle at that camp. And he told me a story. He says, little eyes are watching you. Talking about how when you become an athlete, you're in the spotlight. And fair or unfair, young people are forming their belief systems and their conduct based on the athletes that they see. They become heroes. Those we're enshrining tonight are heroes to a lot of young people. He took me to another football camp about 30 miles down the road for another ex-athlete who coached for him named Pat Collins. And I happened to be in the workout crew that was led by Ronnie Alexander. Now, we would check in on a Sunday afternoon, and by Sunday evening, Coach Alexander had already lost his voice. I'm 12 years old, and I'm watching this man pour every bit of energy and passion he had into young people that are trying to learn a game that he had devoted his life to. And Coach, you may not know this, but so much of my leadership style and certainly my passion for sports goes right back to those days that I was training under you as a 12-year-old little kid who knew nothing about the world. And I wouldn't let this evening pass without being able to tell you thank you. Thank you. And one other thing that my dad invested in me was a love for the Lady Texters. So, Ms. Ford, when I come in here, our seats, I'm turned around a little bit. I think our seats are back over here. And when I can look up and I can see these banners honoring Leon Barmore and the great Carl Malone, I spent a lot of my time looking on this side of the arena, and I see those names, Pam Kelly and Angela Turner and Janice Lawrence, and of course, Cheryl Ford. I thought Lady Texters invented college basketball. I still believe that. One of my most prized possessions. Leon gave me his 1982 national championship ring, and it sits right in the middle of my office so that everybody comes in, understands who the Lady Texters were. Today we watched volleyball, and because this arena was set up for this event, we were in Scotty Robertson Memorial Gymnasium. And as loud as it was, with 100 people and 2 volleyball teams, I cannot imagine what it was like in the late 70s and early 80s when those Lady Texters were playing. So thank you for your contribution to that legacy that continues to define the way that basketball should be played. And it's an honor to have you here tonight, ma'am, as well. Folks, we could go on, and you're going to hear lots of stories from these folks tonight. It's important that we celebrate those who gave so much to give so many examples of excellence, of perseverance, of commitment, and who continue to honor that long after their athletic careers are over. Because that is the way that we guide the next generation to be worthy of being enshrined in this Hall of Fame. You all do it in your daily lives. We're grateful for your example. We're grateful for your loyalty to your alma mater. We're grateful for your presence and your commitment of time to us. Y'all enjoy the evening. Congratulations to the inductees. Go Dogs.
All right, how about them Dogs? Wasn't that fun last night? If you were at IE Stadium. Appreciate it, Coach Cummey and the fellas. A lot of people like winning a one-point game, and that counts. That's awesome. But I like winning by 40. That was beautiful. That was so wonderful. It's a tough November coming up, so we just got to stick together. Keep rooting. It'll all be fine. We just got to stick together. Next Sunday, we'll be playing basketball in here. Next Sunday afternoon. So all kind of stuff going on. We need all of you. Go to LaTexSports.com to keep up, or LaTex.edu to keep up with what's happening at your flagship university. My name is Teddy Allen. I'm not the president or athletic director. I'm just a worker bee, but it is a real honor to be able to participate in this ceremony, just to share the night with so many good friends. Y'all are a beautiful crowd. Seeing so many people that I've known for so long. There is a 100% chance that somebody will cry tonight. It might be me. That's okay. It's going to be fun. There'll be tears of joy. We're going to move into the fancy part of our induction ceremony now, Carl. So strap in. We're going to introduce you to everybody, visit with them a minute, and then we'll turn them loose, and you can have them, okay? Thank you all for being here to support all your friends, these wonderful Bulldogs and Lady Texters. So let's let her rip Tater Chip and induct some Hall of Famers. Our first inductee, he comes off as kind of all shucks and quiet in Sunday school and everything. But listen, few players have been more competitive, and none have started more games or played more minutes over 4 seasons in the history of Duncan Dogs basketball, a name that started during his career. His teammates will tell you that on teams that average 24-plus wins a year, twice went to the NCAA tournament, including the Sweet 16 and one NIT Final Four, that he was the engine, he was the guy who made it go, a high school power forward who transitioned selflessly to point guard. Not only did he never miss a game, dude played 34 minutes a night out of 40. For 30 years, he held the assist record, and with the game changing, that's saying something. 30 years. Lots changed since the mid-'80s, but one thing hasn't changed, and that's this guy. More than any of the numbers, his best ability was his availability. Start to finish, he was there doing whatever Andy Russo, Coach Welch, Tommy Joe, or his teammates, many of them are here tonight, asked me to do. He's one of the most talented, durable, efficient, selfless athletes in any sport ever at our wonderful university. Class of 2025 Tech Athletics Hall of Famer, Wayne Smith, everybody. It's the first day of the rest of my life, and I messed it up already, Terry. Okay, if you know Wayne at all, you know he does not like to talk about himself, but we're going to make him for a few minutes and start with his recruiting trips. I think you'll enjoy this story. Texas Tech wanted him, LSU wanted him. So let's talk about your LSU trip compared to your Tech recruiting trip. I know the Tech trip was much more Baptist-oriented than the LSU trip.
Yeah, so David Jordan, I'm looking at him back here. He brought me here as my mentor to show me around, and we went to Temple Baptist Church for a skating party. Dale Brown flew me and Don Redden down on a private plane and put us in a limo. But the thing that brought us back here was David Jordan, Rennie Bailey, Carl Malone, Willie Simmons, Adam Frank, Alan Davis, and just we're going to build something here. It's going to be family, and we're going to do something that's really special. So I look back at Coach Russo and Coach Welch and Coach Simmons, but there was one person that wrote me a letter every week and mailed it to me from 1980 to 1982. That was Tommy Joe Eels. And that was the difference maker for Wayne Smith.
You mentioned Tommy Joe. You still have something in your Bible from Tommy Joe, I think you still carry.
I do.
Speaking of David Jordan, he tells me you were the Martha Stewart, and I knew this of Hutchinson Dorn back in the day. How did you get to be such a neat freak, and did you deserve that reputation?
Well, I was a little bit anal about our room. Now, it was like a 12 by 12 with cinder blocks, but we did the best we could, and I had Jeff James, who was my roommate my freshman year, and then DJ and I were together for 3 years, and he got turn-down service. It was like Hilton stuff.
Right.
And so I would make his bed, vacuum the room.
Every day.
Every day. But DJ, I would not touch that spit cup of yours, my boy.
Spit cup was off limits. Wayne was a wonderful natural athlete, although he worked real hard. But some people may not know at the start, when you're a little bitty guy, they didn't know if you're going to walk right. Tell everybody about that, if you would.
Yeah, so I've learned, we kind of fabricated this story, but a little bit. But so I was born really bow-legged, and so I was in braces for 8 months, and then I was in these special shoes for like 4 years. I don't know if it was ever like, you're not going to play competitively, but you look up, and 25 years later, I was able to play on this court, below the Carl Malone court.
Here's some things your teammates said as you blossomed in your career. Again, a power forward in high school, wonderful at Trinity Heights. Came over here, they asked him to play point guard. He started the first game and never didn't start. His teammates, people don't understand what a competitor he was. We had a lot of good players. Wayne was the engine. We all ran through him. He didn't get the chance a lot, but he was a scorer and could score from anywhere, right around the basket. He was going to do whatever the team needed. You were just a real competitor, and just by looking at you again, you come off all meek and all, but on the court it's a different ballgame. Where did you inherit that from, or did you and your brother going at it, did you learn it early?
Yeah, so we had Craig Morton and Roger Staubach in the front yard.
That's beautiful.
And every kid at 1112 Cole Avenue came to our house. And we went from football to basketball to baseball, and our grass was just worn down big time. And I think just over time, you know, I look back to Mike Whitler at Trinity Heights. I look back to a group at this school that welcomed me in. And Mike McConaughey, legend. He started something whenever COVID hit, and he sent something the other day, and it said something about if there's 1,000-piece puzzle, every piece matters. Mm-hmm. And so I think I was a little bitty small piece, and I'm very proud of that.
It's a pretty big piece. Tell us about, you know, you were coached by a lot of relationship coaches here at Tech. Talk about some of the impact, if you would, of some of those relationships that you built throughout your time here, some of them on the court, some of them off the court that meant a lot to you.
Yeah, so I was talking to Terry and Donna Ewing. They sat in 107 right there. So we had this foster parent program. They adopted us, and we didn't get NIL money, you know. We got relationships. And so 107 meant a lot to me. 114 right here, my parents sat there every game. Donald Sanderson sat right there in 102. And so when the game was over, these people stayed around for us. And you look back, and it's so much about that. It's so much about the relationships, and I value that a lot.
Life after playing has been pretty good to you. Coach of the Year, state titles, retired jersey, 3 beautiful kids. I see a grand human that we've got now, outstanding. But it's all been about team for you, and a big part of your team was Dr. Billy Bundert.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what was in the magic potion that he put in that injection, because he gave me many that kept me going. I mean, I look back and I'm probably most proud. I never cared about the assist or the steals or the points or anything. I cared about the win. And when Carl hit the shot in '85 against McNeese to put us into the Lamar game, that was huge. I mean, that was huge. But I think about Dr. B and my relationship. I worked for him for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And Margaret and Jim are here, and I appreciate that relationship so much. But Louisiana Tech's been great to my family. My wife of 30 years. Now, look, she has never seen me play one game. So I want y'all to embellish some stuff tonight with her. But my son played football here, has his MBA. My daughter has her MBA and CPA here. And I'm putting a little pressure on little Avery over there. But whatever. We're very loyal to Louisiana Tech. We appreciate everything.
Well, so many wins, so many memories. You started every game, all those wins, all those minutes played. But what do you think you're most proud of as a Bulldog and what you're able to do for your team?
I look back, I think it's 94 wins. I mean, that's not been done again. 82 to 86 was a special group, and the vision of Russo, Eagles, Welch, Simmons to put a group together that would be basically Louisiana kids. We were Louisiana kids. We had a little Michigan flash. Right. Robert Godbolt loved that. Had some Dallas kids, but for the most part, we were just hard-working, blue-collar kids. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's what I do. That's what I do. My life is about building a team and acknowledging what they do every day.
Is there anything else you want to add to your Tech family before we let you go and you're officially inducted?
Nope, I do not. I appreciate everybody being here.
He's durable, but he's very selfless. Ladies and gentlemen, he was always there when you needed him, and now he's always going to be a part of your university. Hall of Famer Wayne Smith.
Thank you. We did good.
Congratulations, Wayne. Hey, by the way, Wayne, I was up in 203 every game during the early 80s, so I enjoyed watching y'all too. Our next Hall of Famer was named an All-American and All-State during his prep career at Sulphur High School. Started at left guard for Hall of Fame coach Maxie Lambright from 1971 through 74. So he was part of the golden era of Bulldog football. Just to remind people, those 4 teams went 44-4 in 4 years. Member of 4 Southland Conference championship teams, 3 national championships teams, 1972, 73, and 74. He was named All Southland Conference as a senior. I already mentioned selected as one of Louisiana, or to the Louisiana Tech's 100-year anniversary team. Named one of the 50 greatest players in Joe I. Stadium history. And as you'll hear here momentarily, all those accolades, probably his biggest impact on life has been through his family and his faith. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Randy Crouch. All right, Randy, let me get to the right page and put my glasses on so I can actually see this. But, hey, congratulations. I've gotten an opportunity to visit with you a few times on coaches' shows over the years, and, you're just one of the true gentlemen in part of the Louisiana Tech family. I know a lot of your former family and friends and teammates are here tonight. What's this honor mean for you?
Oh, it means it's one of the most humbling things that ever happened to me, because there's so many deserving people who are not in, and I'm just so thankful to the committee and the opportunity to be a part of this, and with the teammates that are here that I had to play with, and it was so good for them, and I'm so thankful and so blessed to have that opportunity. And just so thankful.
You told me a story when we were on the phone last week about being recruited out of Sulphur High School, and it looks like we're going to have a trend tonight, and I'm going to love it, about choosing Louisiana Tech over LSU. How does an All-American from South Louisiana make it to North Louisiana in the early 1970s?
Well, it was very difficult, because from where I grew up, if you had a chance to go to Baton Rouge, you probably went. And I had a family. My sister had went to LSU, and a lot of my best friends in high school that I played with went to LSU. So it was when I came to visit, I had pretty much told Coach McClendon that I was coming. But I said, look, I said E.J. Lewis was recruiting me, and he played high school football with my dad. And he said, Randy, he said, you need to give it a chance. Come look at it. And I said, well, okay. And I came up here, and I'll never forget, it was a terrible day. It had rained, and back then it was 2-lane road all the way up here, and I can remember getting here, but he put something on, told me about the relationships, kind of like what Wayne talked about. And Coach Lambright, I can remember this. I was in his office, and it was over at Memorial Gym right before I was going to leave to come back. And he said, Randy, he said, listen, he said, it's about people. It's about relationships. He says, this football thing, you're with them for a little while, but it's the people around you. He says, give it a chance and look at it. So when I came back and told my dad, who was tremendously influential to me in sports since I was a little kid, my dad went to Tulane. He played at Tulane. His first cousin was the head coach at Tulane when I was getting recruited. So when I looked at him and I said, Dad, I said, I think I'm going to go to Louisiana Tech. And I'm not saying he was taken back, but he said, have you prayed about it? And I said, yeah. I said, I just feel so comfortable. And he said, well, that's the best thing you can do. And so when that happened, And came here, and I can say that is the third best thing that ever happened to me. The number one thing that ever happened to me was my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And number two was my wife. 49 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you were part of 3 national championship teams in 4 years, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm not sure LSU won a national championship during those 4 years, so you made the right decision. What made those teams so special?
Well, we had a great unity here, and I tell you, a tremendous coaching staff. Coach Lambright and all the assistants are here, and I know Pat Collins is here tonight, and he was one of the first guys when I came to visit. We talked, but it was the unity of people. And when I came here, one of the first they put me, my roommate was Roy Waters, and me and Roy roomed together for 4 years. And I know that I was not the easiest person to live with, but we developed a kinship. And then the offensive line group got together. We have some other guys here like Dan Core, and Ricky Shirley was here, and Charlie, and all these guys. And so we had a unity that was our strength. And Coach Lambright used to talk about that all the time. And we were not going to be denied. We were going to win, and we were going to prepare ourselves to do it because, trust me, Coach Lambright and the assistants, they prepared us to get that done.
I'm curious if Roy vacuumed your room every day or not.
No.
Okay. All right, Roy, you need to be a better roommate.
No.
I talked to Roy on the phone the other day. He described you. He said, Randy is one of the finest guys that I've ever known. I talked to Louisiana Tech head coach Sonny Cumbie. He described you as one of the most selfless, encouraging, and loving men he's ever spent time with. I know that you do a weekly devotional with the Louisiana Tech football team. Your faith means so much to you. Just talk a little bit about faith in football.
Well, I have been blessed so much in my life, and I go back to my parents, and I can remember as a small child on every Sunday and Wednesday night, whether I wanted to go or not, my dad was dragging me to church. And they instilled in something in me, and the Lord showed me some things, and it has been a driving force. There's no doubt. I have been blessed so much, and I think the winning and the losing and the teams and everything like that is great, but the relationship that you have with your Lord is the most important thing. And I think when you miss that, you miss it all. So I'm so thankful that I was able to do this, and I'm so thankful to Coach Cumbie. He has allowed me to share a devotion with the coaches over the last number of years, and he is such a man of God, and his heart is so good. And Sonny, I really want to thank you.
Amen. One thing that I didn't know about you until I was doing a little research, not only were you a football player, but you were a pretty good shot putter. I found a release from 1974 where you set the Louisiana Tech school record in the shot put at over 55 feet. Now, a week later, you finished second in the Southland Conference meet, so I don't know what happened there. But you did have 4 first-place finishes that year. Just talk a little bit about track and field while you're also playing football.
Well, track, I really like track and field, and Coach Miles was the track coach here, and he came to me about my sophomore year, and he said, do you want to do track? And I said, yeah, but I said, look, it comes during spring football, and trust me, Coach Lambright is not going to let me throw during that time. He said, well, I've talked to him, and he says, you can, when spring football's over, you can compete. So I said, sure. So I did that, and that was really, I enjoyed doing that. And also during that period of time, we had such great track people here. Ricky Stubbs was here at the time. Mike Barber was here, who probably put on one of the greatest performances I ever saw. We had spring football right out here one day, and we were having a track meet that afternoon. And we practiced and we scrimmaged probably about 90 plays out there. And that afternoon we had a track meet, and Mike rolled up out there to run the hurdles or the intermediates. and after being in 90-degree heat and stuff like that, and I think he finished second to Stubbs in the 110s, but I think he won the intermediates. And so, I mean, track and field was really good, made a lot of great relationships.
Well, before we officially induct you in the Hall of Fame, any last words?
No, there's so many people out here. You know, I look at the teammates, and a guy here who helped change my life was Denny Duran, and I want to thank him for so many things. And God bless you all. I'm sorry I'm so emotional, but this means an awful lot to a lot of people. And I want to thank my children who's here today, Lauren, my daughter who's an Aggie. But I tried to get her to come here. She went to Texas A&M. Jared, my oldest son, graduated here from Tech. My youngest son, he's a football coach in college. He had to coach today. They didn't win, but he was very disappointed, but I just talked with him on the phone. So I want to thank him. And naturally, I want all my grandchildren's here, but my wife. I wasn't the easiest person to live with. Been married 49 years. You know, when I coached for 46 years. And, you know, during that period of time, you're chasing a lot of other kids than your own. And she raised them, and she did a great job. I love you. I thank you.
Well, you've been described as one of the finest guys that every people have ever known. Now you'll be described as a Louisiana Tech Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Randy Crouch.
Coach Crouch never cried at football practice. I'm just going to tell you. They were 44-4 during his time, and a lot of times at football practice when Coach Crouch was a coach, somebody do something. Chief, a big hand for Sam Wilkinson, everybody. Come on, Chief. You're stand here with me, Chief.
We started moving forward.
Good, right here. You going to go over there? Okay, all right, hang with me for a minute. You remember when Coach Crouch would somebody do something, they get kind of cocky at practice, and Coach Crouch go 44-4, boys, 44-4. So if you can do that, then he say he can show off. He was beautiful. Sam was in the dugout during, I think it was an Astros-Braves game in Atlanta, the summer of '77, when the bullpen phone rang for him. That call led to 30 years of service at Tech, 8 football coaches, 6 ADs, 4 women's basketball coaches, 6 men's basketball coaches, 4 baseball coaches, and hundreds of student athletes whose lives Sam touched in a really special way. He kept a backpack in the training room. We all saw it. He kept dishing out his 10 commandments. Some of those are, always be available but not obvious, be concerned but not curious, mind your own business, that was a big one. Be the first to encourage and the last to criticize. Humility is a beautiful thing, and this was the big one. Don't panic. Said it to me 100 times. A wonderful ball player himself. He's had a heart for this university. He shared it on ball fields, on buses, in the training room, in the locker room, wherever he was needed. A Bulldog through and through. Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Famer Sam Wilkinson. You going to get it? Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. This is Trey. That'd be Sam the third. He used to sleep in my lap when I would babysit. That would be hard to do now. They grow up so fast. Thank you. Gee whiz. Well, if God had wanted this to be perfect, I would not be involved in it. So I apologize. Try to remember to do this right from now on.
You're using up my time.
I know. I'm sorry. Sam's always been like a father to me, but I would not let him bathe me. I had to draw the line at there. It's a long way from Firehouse 6 and Milton Street here to the Hall of Fame. What were your thoughts when Ryan Ivey called you to tell you you'd be inducted?
I couldn't talk. I mean, it shocked me so, and I'm so honored and so blessed, and to think
Well, you're batting third tonight. I know you're used to batting. You batted second when you were All-State for Fair Park. You played at Henderson State. You were a ball boy for the old Shreveport Captains. But how did you get from being equipment manager in the big leagues to being a Louisiana Tech Bulldog?
Well, it was, we were playing Atlanta, and I was sitting there, and the phone rang in the dugout, and they said it was for me, and I thought my dad had been sick, and I thought something had happened. And it was Coach Pat Collins called it, that Coach Lambright had asked him to call me, that Billy Belding had stepped down and wanted to know if I was interested. And I told Pat, yes, I was, but let the game get over with, and I'll call you back.
Well, on the
And
dugout phone.
I called him back, and it was just something. I was sitting there in Major League Baseball, finally made it to the big leagues, but when I got that phone call, I knew then that was the job to take to come home. Right. And that's, Pat, I owe everything in the world to you. Thank you.
Tears are good. Speaking of tears, you cried all the way from Houston. You told me to Shreveport because you're starting over. You got 3 boys. But when did you fall in love with the school? Was it that first year, 77, 78, when you were here?
Well, I was almost there, and one day Sheriff Snap Oaks drove up, and he had a guy in the car with him, and he got out and said, Sam, just a minute, I got somebody. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with a prisoner? And he said, this boy, Teddy Allen, is coming to Tech, and he going to be, do you need a football manager? And I said, yes, sir, I'll take him. So we turned to Teddy and said, get your stuff ready and get here 2 days from now, and Sam will take care of you, and got in his car and left. So I've been stuck with him ever since then.
That's true. Working at Beacon Gas Plant, I had no idea what the sheriff was talking about when he told me to get in the car. We're going for a ride. It was not the first time a police officer had asked me to do that.
Well,
But this place saved me. For a guy going nowhere, this was a great place for me to end up. Speaking of driving, I don't think people understand how different it was back then. There was only one of you. There was not a lot of trainers, so you did literally keep bags packed at the field house, and sometime you would have to go ask the bus driver where y'all were going.
Well, that's true. I was covering at that time men and women's basketball, and we'd come in and at Memorial Gym at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd just leave my suitcase sitting up there in the hallway and go home and come back and get on the bus and leave again. But that was the start of something that we really didn't know what was happening to us. And being able to be there and witness what was going on with women's basketball. And all we done, people, was practice games, and then we'd go out there and beat them. I mean, we didn't take any prisoners. And the fans took to us. Old Memorial Gym was packed. They'd be lined up there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get into the game and all that. And we finally had to stop, ask them. They would come, the senior citizens would, and they'd bring cookies and cakes and stuff for the team. Well, we can't eat that before the game. So, but anyway, we had a great run. And
It was, well, you always told me, you said there's a lot of highs and there's some lows, but you always concentrated on the highs. You also told me, you'd say, Teddy, I've always told you some version of the truth.
Well,
and tell me about, but beating Baylor, you know, y'all were moving up. You had to play a lot of money games, but you beat Baylor, you beat Bama twice. The feeling of accomplishment y'all must have had.
Well, you have to, these guys know, Randy, and they know I know how hard we worked. The coaches being there all day and half the night, and I know how hard we worked. And when we finally won that, we were trying to move up. We had to put new stands in. We had to add more seats and everything. And the budget was shaky and all these things. And we finally beat somebody, Baylor. And it was just like the world was lifted off of our shoulders. And I remember that. And again, the big thing, we beat Alabama 2 years in a row. almost unheard of. Now, when we were leaving, we played in Tuscaloosa the second time. And when we were leaving, they didn't think very much of us. And they were rude and ugly. They threw cans and stuff at the buses and all that stuff. But it was a blessing. And there's no one more humble and pleased to be here tonight. And I'm so honored.
How many hotel rooms have you stayed in?
I've been in more hotels than the Gideon Bible.
Couple more things before we wrap up. Your dear friend Jim Oakes, he was your first equipment manager in 1977, 78, your first year here. And in August of 77, I think it was meant to be, y'all bonded over Elvis Presley of all people, but if you'll share how that story happened.
Well, Jim and I was going over to Walmart and to get a few things. Practice was fixing to start and all that. And I had an old Chevy pickup truck, and we're going up the interstate. And they come on the radio, said that Elvis Presley had died. And my heart almost stopped. And I said, Jim, I got to pull over. And I pulled over on the side of the interstate and caught my breath. I was raised, saw him at the Louisiana hayride and all them things. But that was our first road trip together, Jim and I.
To Walmart.
Yeah, to Walmart, all the way to Walmart and back.
Jim and you, a match made in heaven. Trey and Carolyn Hill, Rowan, Amanda, Donnie, and April. Pretty good team
Ain't bad.
that you've brought up. I know they're proud of you. Chief, any special memory you want to share to wrap this up that you'd like to share with the Tech family?
You're not shorting my time, are you?
No, it's up to you. I'm a worker bee.
Well,
Whatever you got. Chief.
I know. I talk too much. I've got my instructions over here and all that. But basically, Teddy, in all these stories and things I've told, it's always been some version of the truth. But just every day coming to work, there was times I couldn't wait to get to work. I never had a bad day. Now, there was other days better than others, but I never had a bad day. And to be there with all those young guys, they kept me young. And Tommy Sizemore and I would jog and walk every day at noontime. We're getting ready for spring practice or August practice. They kept me young. They wasn't going to let me get to be an old man. I loved every one of them and tried to treat them like they were my own sons. And I'm so grateful and thank all of you guys for what you've done for me.
Right.
And thank you very much.
He left it all on the field. I'm going to tell you, I've seen him sleep on. I've seen him grab a nap on the training table. Again, get his bag, coming in from one trip and going to another one, and getting on the bus and leaving. He always told me, he said, if I die out on the practice field one day, make sure and put the Tech ball schedule on my tombstone. He is the real deal. He's one of the most beloved hearts to ever walk on this campus. It's a pleasure, old friend, to welcome you to the Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Teddy.
Sam Wilkinson, everybody.
All right. Test 1, 2. All right. We'll move along. Our next Louisiana Tech inductee played women's basketball here from 1999 through 2003 for Hall of Famers Leon Barmore and Kurt Buckey. She helped lead the Lady Techsters to 4 regular season titles, 4 conference tournament titles, 4 NCAA tournaments. Louisiana Tech was 118 wins, only 16 losses during her 4 years. 2-time Western Athletic Conference Player of the Year. She was an AP All-American as a senior. The 2003 LSWA State Player of the Year. She's a member of the 1,000-point, 1,000-rebound club. Selected in the 3rd round, selected 3rd overall in the 1st round of the 2003 WNBA draft. 7 years in the WNBA playing for the Detroit Shock. 2003 WNBA Rookie of the Year, 4-time WNBA All-Star, 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time WNBA rebounding champion. Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome Miss Cheryl Ford.
Now, Malcolm, you promised me you weren't gonna make me cry. I'm an
I'm
ugly
going to
crier.
do my best. This is a feel-good moment, Cheryl, for sure. Hard to believe. You know, me and Cheryl are connected. We were both rookies together at Louisiana Tech in the summer of '99. I started my job here at Louisiana Tech. You were an incoming freshman. I was fortunate enough to call every single one of your games over 4 years on the radio. What does tonight mean to you, Cheryl?
Tonight means everything to me. I'm truly honored and blessed and humbled, and I want to thank the committee for voting me in, and I'm just blessed to be here.
Well, before we get any further, you got your own little hoopster now, don't you? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Sitting right down here.
Cameron, that's my baby girl.
She's a pretty good basketball, volleyball player from what I understand, right?
Yes, she is.
Following
She's
in Mama's
doing great.
footsteps. That's great. So why Louisiana Tech? Coming out of Summerfield High School.
Because I couldn't leave home. I couldn't leave my mom. I'm gonna cry. As annoying as she was in the stands at Summerfield, I actually missed that voice when she had to have thyroid surgery one year. I was thankful that she wasn't screaming at me all the time, but I did miss it, and I know I needed to stay close at home because she never missed a game.
Well, coming out of Summerfield, I actually had to, you may not know this, I had to coach against Cheryl when I was at Dubach High School, and it didn't matter. I could put all 5 of my players on the floor against her, and she was unstoppable at Class C Summerfield High School. You got to play for Leon Barmore and Kurt Butke. Your first 2 years were for Coach Barmore. Your last 2 years with Coach Butke. What was that experience like for you?
It was a great experience. I mean, they both had the winning mentality, and we won a lot of games, and we played hard, and, you know, it was a great experience.
I talked to Coach Barmore about you earlier this week. He said, very proud of how every year she kept getting better. Her last couple of years at Tech, she was so dominating. She was so easy to coach. Her and Janice Lawrence are the 2 best bigs that we've ever had running the floor. And, of course, she was one of the best rebounders to ever wear a Louisiana Tech uniform. That's pretty high praise coming from that man.
That's pretty high praise. You sure he said that?
I promise.
Because we both Geminis now. We used to bump heads a lot, and I remember him making me run around this gym a lot of times.
Yeah, well, when he said she was easy to coach, I didn't say coach. I remember some stories of you 2 button heads out there.
Right.
But that's what made you great. You were headstrong. That's what made him such a great coach as well. You're one of only 11 Lady Techsters to ever score 1,000 points and grab 1,000 rebounds in a career. I remember your senior year, the WAC championship game, Fresno State. You remember how many rebounds you had in that game?
I do not.
25 rebounds in the WAC championship game. What made you such a good rebounder? What did he teach you? What made you so good on boards?
Well, I think I just had a knack to where the ball was coming off the rim, you know, and I think I worked hard and got in position to get the basketball.
How did Louisiana Tech prepare you for the WNBA? We mentioned you were the 3rd overall pick in the 1st round in 2003.
Well, I think because Coach Barmore and Coach Bill are both the same type of person as in a coach. They was hard-nosed and did everything to win and ruthless, and I think that's how it prepared me because I was ready for it when I got to Bill because Coach Barmore had already instilled it in me.
What was the most challenging thing for you about your 7 years in the WNBA?
Being in Detroit away from home. Detroit, a country girl from Summerfield going to Detroit. That was the most challenging thing. But my mom did hit the road a lot. She came to Detroit a lot.
I remember, I think it was the first championship you won with the Detroit Shock. I can't remember if it was in Game 7 or not, but I just remember the celebration. What was that like?
It was great. It was great having both my mom and my dad there. I know I went and hugged my dad, and mom was up in the stands, but it was great just having both my parents there and the rest of my family.
So who was more challenging to play for, Leon Barmore or Bill Lambier?
I think they was running a pretty close race there. I mean, they both was hard-nosed, so and we worked hard in practice both ways.
Is there a game or two at Louisiana Tech that kind of stands out to you?
Malcolm, I can't remember that far back. I think we was playing somebody, and TJ and Betty Lennox, they would always say, "I see you running, big girl. I see you, and shoot the ball." Man, I could not stand that, but it was great memories. But that's one of my most memorable things about being here. Those two guards always saying, "I see you, big girl. I see you," and then they shoot the ball.
Yeah, they were great players, but those two never met a shot they didn't like. There's no doubt about it. Your last, I guess it was been your last 3 years, Louisiana Tech moved over to the Western Athletic Conference.
Mm-hmm.
We had the opportunity to travel to some places that we had never traveled before. What are your memories of going to Hawaii and going to the West Coast?
Hawaii was great. I remember the flights being extremely long, and I think I had to take some medication to sleep a little bit on those flights because I'm terrified of flying. Even though I have traveled the world, I'm terrified of flying, but I remember going to Hawaii, and it's the most beautiful place ever.
I mentioned to you on the phone the other day that I was looking up and I realized that you and your dad, Carl Malone, are the first father-daughter combo to ever be inducted into the Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
That means a lot. Who would ever thought? Two country kids from Summerfield playing on the dirt. We had our little dirt thing with the basket. My grandma and my mom nailed to the light pole. Who'd ever thought we'd have made it? And Dad, I'm proud of you.
And I know you've mentioned it a couple times, but you wanted me to make sure. So as we start to wrap things up, anything you want to say about your mother or any of your other family members?
Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for supporting me throughout this journey. And that's it, because I'm going to cry.
Well, she was one of the greatest to ever wear a Lady Texture uniform, and that's saying quite a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome newest Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Famer, Miss Cheryl Ford.
Thank you.
It's halftime. Are you not entertained? Isn't this a great class? They're wonderful. And just to say something one more time that Ryan Ivy said earlier, a lot of trouble in setting all this up. If you don't have a good time tonight or something's wrong, please don't say anything, because I know the people that worked. It was very hard to get all this together. But nothing but the best for the class of 2025. Our fifth of our eight inductees, he was so excited about being in the National Football League that he once drove from the Baton Rouge airport back home to Lafayette with his Atlanta Falcons helmet on his head. He's been called a free spirit and a semi-wild dude, guy who's never had a bad day, but whatever you call him, you got to make sure that you add clutch receiver, a joy as a teammate. And in 1976, when he led the nation in catches with 77, they started calling him All-American. He's a member of the Tech Football 100-year anniversary team, voted one of the 50 best players in Joy Stadium history, the entertaining, lovable, and tough as nails, Billy Rickman. In real life, he was much faster than this. You look at him just right. He looks almost lifelike. It's unbelievable. Hey, Bill. No. Welcome, Billy Rickman. 77 passes. There's William. If you want to know what Billy looked like back in the day.
No. We met at Ponchatoula's today,
Right.
and he went and talked to him like he was like me.
Right. Like Billy's never messed with anybody before. How many passes would you catch today, and do you ever get jealous at how much they throw the ball?
A day?
Right.
At least
A game.
200. Oh, no.
It's
Well, I remember I'd ask somebody that was with the Saints. I do a radio show.
right.
Go figure. I know a friend that says it's better than lifting weights.
Radio
But
show.
anyway,
Yeah.
he was a rookie, drafted somewhere out of California. So I was talking to him and said, how many passes you caught today? He said 4, I think. And he was just talking about, I caught 200.
Right. Thought that was good.
200 today.
When did you
Where's
know?
my cheat sheet?
When did you know? Well, you're a radio guy, so I figured you had all on top of your head. When did you know
You
might?
can, Sam, I'm sorry. He can cut my time short. I'm shy.
You need to listen to Billy's radio show, 11 to 12.
11 to 12.
I was on with him and Carl Terrebonne a couple of times this last week. It's a joy. I should have paid y'all to let me be on. When did you know you were going to be good? I know your dad was good. When did you figure out you could be a pretty good player?
Well, I had somebody tonight say that they were young, they looked up to me, and I can remember having pictures. I think Sports Illustrated would get these posters, and I'd have them all over my wall. And I was going to play for the Laughing High Mighty Lions, and then the Southeastern Lions, and then the Detroit Lions. I've been there. And this picture, though, Larry Dotrieve coached here, and I want to give him credit. That picture, he coached me in high school, and if a lot of receivers would drop a pass, he'd get mad, and he'd make it stand 5 yards away and run right at him. And so that's why I did that.
That's very nice. That's a very good picture. Coach Dotrieve, another Cajun like you. Well, you came to Tech and you started something. Carl Terrebonne came here from down there, Leland Padgett, wonderful players.
Yeah.
How did you end up here? Because, like you say, you were going to go to Hammond and catch
Ryan,
passes.
who talked earlier, said, I'm sure it was a hard choice. I only had 2. One was the Cajuns, and they were running the wishbone. And, here, I came up for one of those recruiting trips. I remember Glenn Berto. They used to have it's probably grown up now. The city is much different. But, anyway, next.
Okay. You're not a big guy. You're not a giant
I was small but
receiver.
slow.
So didn't you have trouble every now and then getting in the physical stadium once you got to the NFL?
I had to buy 2 programs, one in Washington.
To let you in?
Well,
This
Washington,
is true.
I'd always like to, do something. And so I said, well, I'm going to take the thing that goes under the tunnel, the MARTA train.
Oh, right, the little train.
I got hit in the head too many times. That's why I cry at the Hallmark movies, Miss Rickman tells me. But anyway, so I got up, there were tons of Redskin fans.
Right.
And so, I was thought we'd get up, we were at the station, or at the stadium. But we were about a mile away, so I had to walk. And usually, they had buses that could go, and sometimes you take a taxi. But I had to buy a program there to get in. But I remember my rookie year, and the athletic, team is really smart. They get, the first jersey, number 1, then he dresses next to number 2, and he dresses next. And so my rookie year, I dressed next to a 79, Jeff Yates from Buffalo. And so I hit his shoulder pads just as a joke, and I'm a rookie. And so he found out it was me. And so I remember going into, first time in Atlanta, because we practiced at Greenville, South Carolina. And so I remember all right, the team that needs to come out whenever it was. And I went to put my helmet as I was walking, onto the field, and he had taken, I didn't know it, but all the pads were out of my helmet. So I said, and so, well, I ran in, and he was smoking in you could smoke.
Sure, back in the day,
then.
absolutely.
And he just looked at me, but that was pretty much fun. But the first game before that one was, I'm going in, and boy, I felt like, the first time you'd been in a pro thing, and we practiced in Greenville, we bused in and stayed at a hotel, and I walked in, and I'm walking down, and the guy says, hey, popcorn salesman, we're supposed to be here at 4.
This is all true.
Yeah. And I said, no, I played.
Right.
And sure enough, the guy that I hit his shoulder pads was the guy that walked in. He said, hey, does this guy says he plays? And he looked at me, no.
The best hands of any popcorn salesman ever
I
in the National
remember
Football
one
League.
of the first things I learned when I came to college is John Causey was dating Maxie Lambright's daughter.
Yes.
So I said, well, what the heck? And so I got a program, and I cut out, John's picture, Maxie's picture, and his daughter's picture. And I said, and I made a poster and put it up on the dorm bulletin board when you walk in. Is this a love triangle?
No.
And boy,
How'd that go over, Billy?
that didn't work well.
As great a player as you were.
All right, my time's over.
No, people might forget that you're a sideline reporter for Freeway Dave Nitz back in the day. And once he went to you, we're going to Billy for a update, and there was a portalette involved. So people may want to hear that story.
Look, he's back there with a little girl, William Rickman. He was 8 or 9 years old, and he had that soccer. They play soccer at 7 years old. Why? I don't know. But we would come up, and sure enough, one of the weekends, he needed to go to the bathroom. And I'd seen people in the NFL where they were tall enough, that they get players around them, and every now and then they would pee. And so I said, William, look, you want me to put you in the thing or just hold you in the thing? No. And so I walked up, up the home side, and I was in the bathroom, and I hear Dave Nitz. Well, let's go down to Billy Rickman and get a sideline report. I said, well, we got one, what do they call it that you urinate in?
The portalette?
No, like
commode, toilet.
Whatever,
pipe.
where you can go. I said, well, we got one dirty one.
I don't know what they call it in South Louisiana.
But that was kind of funny.
Billy would catch punts. When did you start catching them? Billy would catch them he didn't catch them like this. Caught punts like that.
Well, every now and then, it was nice because they always take a timeout right after the punt, and so I could see people in the stands going. But I guess you're leaning towards I did it one-handed one time.
Right.
Yeah. Should I tell you about that?
No, I was gonna.
All right.
Back in the day, I don't know. You probably won't.
Back in what day? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Right. You
Thursday,
won't understand
Friday?
this because they're just your teammates. But when y'all played Monday Night Football at Hutchinson Dorm all day Monday, the biggest thing was just can't wait till practice is over to watch Billy on the television. There was a big fellowship hall. Basically, it had one big TV in it in the hut, and we all gathered around, and we just wanted the other team to keep punting every time to see you catch balls. Two things. What made those teams so great that you played on here at Tech, and anything special you want to tell the game?
I mean, Randy, all things that glitter is not gold. Mr. White, you never can tell how much you miss somebody until you see him again, Roy. But I saw Eddie Anglin, number Fred, Jim Oakes. I remember him. I apologize again. Wendell Garrett was no longer with us, but
Bless his heart.
Wendell had a aquarium, and so one time, I was down in the main street of Ruston, and they had a goldfish thing. So I said, I'm gonna bring some goldfish. And so I was so proud, and they let me put it in the aquarium. And the next morning, they ate all this fish.
Wendell Wendell was one of the trainers, spectacular
yeah,
human
yeah,
being. He was so
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Well, Billy, thanks for the joy you brought to everybody through your career and tonight. We loved you at the Hut then. We love you now. One of our favorite Cajuns and one of our favorite Bulldogs.
Wait,
forever.
wait.
Yes.
Is his pants too tight? Randy, what's that smile? Look at that.
Ask Billy Rickman, everybody, All-American and Tech Hall of Famer.
All right, I'm not sure how I follow that. Our next inductee will be inducted posthumously. I had to practice that word this week. He was named Mr. Basketball in the state of Louisiana his senior year at Holly Ridge High School. He played for Cecil Crowley and the Bulldogs from 1955 through 1960, two-time All-American, four-time All-Gulf States Conference. He scored 1,393 points. He grabbed 844 rebounds. He averaged double figures all 4 seasons, led the Bulldogs in scoring in 1956-57 and rebounding 2 other years. Still ranked 10th all these years later in all-time rebounds with 844. One of only 9 Bulldogs to score at least 1,300 points and pull down at least 800 rebounds. Part of the 1959 Gulf States Conference team that went 21-4. He was selected as an NAIA All-Star. He was invited to the Olympic trials in 1960. Passed away in 2021 at the age of 85. Tonight, we honor the memory and the career of the late Dr. Raymond Germany. Teddy's rubbing off on me. All right, his youngest son, Kent, Dr. Kent Germany, who, full transparency, Kent and I went to Ruston High School together. We were running buddies in high school and in college, so we have plenty of stories on each other that we will save for another time. But Kent,
we
welcome.
could go ahead. I mean,
No, we'll pass. We'll talk about your dad tonight. I do want to mention, obviously, Dr. Ray Germany has 4 children, Kent, Dee, Ray, and Beth. They're all here with their families tonight. All 4 of Dr. Germany's children graduated from Louisiana Tech. His wife, Nelda, married for over 60 years, is a 3-time graduate of Louisiana Tech. I know we were talking earlier this week, Kent, and I know how proud you and your family are of your dad receiving this honor. Dr. Germany has 3 degrees from Louisiana Tech in biology and in education. He got his doctorate at Texas A&M. I wonder if you could take us back. I'm sure you heard stories. How did your dad end up at Louisiana Tech?
I saw a T-shirt once said, Louisiana Tech by the grace of God. I don't know where I saw that T-shirt, but I do remember that. So my dad was a rural kid, Holly Ridge. He'd moved around. They were sharecroppers. West Texas put a basket up on a barn. That's how he learned. And so, that's the perspective of this story. And so he was highly recruited as Mr. Basketball, and LSU offered him a scholarship. And he took his tour at LSU, and they had the scholarship for him to sign. And he says, well, I still want to think about this. I'm not sure I want to go to LSU. And the LSU assistant coach said, son, nobody turns down LSU. To which he, as this 18-year-old sharecropper kid, said, I just did.
Love it. Amen. Love your dad more and more. Love to hear that type of story about the red and the blue. I mentioned he had an impressive freshman season in 1955 and 56. And Cecil Crowley, we mentioned he was the coach. Cecil had to recruit him almost a couple of times, you told me.
Well, I told Malcolm this story And I said, I don't know that I can tell this story. And he said, there's no statute of limitations. This occurred 60-something years ago. So he was highly recruited coming out of high school, and there was a university, and I'll just say an oil-rich neighboring state. You can figure out which one. And Louisiana Tech offered him a scholarship and room and board, and this other place had offered him a new car and a cash stipend each week. And for a sharecropper's kid, he had an account at a local men's store for clothing. And so he was getting a new car, he's going to get clothes, he was going to get cash. He thought it was a pretty good deal. And so he informed Tech that he would not be returning, and he would be playing for this other place. And some local folks got together and arranged to get the Coach Crowley and some others out to Texas to talk to him about coming back to Louisiana Tech. And he did make the decision to come back here. And I think it was about family, and it's about this place being a home. They did, from my understanding of this, put in a good word for him at the local funeral home so that he would have a job to make some cash. And so this other university was offering a car, new clothes, cash. Louisiana Tech said, we'll do some room and board, and we'll get you a job picking up dead bodies. So that's real magic, I think, definitely in that story.
And he came to Louisiana Tech. Gotta love it. As you've heard the stories over the years, what type of player was your dad?
I know this only because of what people have said, and then a couple of things that I saw later. We're here with a bunch of really great athletes, right? And so everybody here probably knows great athletes in your family, and they probably never talk about all the great things they did. They probably talk about what I screwed up. That time back playing that team when I dropped that or whatever. So he had a good hook shot, I think. I could school him. I could beat him in the driveway pretty handily. So I don't know what all the Hall of Fame stuff was about. He was about 60 years old, and I was younger at that point. But he did have a story that he told a lot that, and he loved his teammates here. And I think that was, of everything that comes out of this, everybody here has talked about their teammates and the coaches and the community that was here at Louisiana Tech. And he had a good friend, Bud Fry, that was the greatest free throw shooter in the history of basketball, according to my dad. And I think they were playing McNeese. I don't know if it was McNeese. It seems like every terrible story that a Louisiana Tech athlete says has something to do with McNeese. Definitely of a certain age. So I'm going to say it was McNeese playing in that barn down in Lake Charles. It was a rodeo arena that they put a roof on.
Burton Coliseum, probably?
No, it was before that.
Before Burton?
No, this was a time in Louisiana history where they wouldn't build a gym. They would build an arena that part of the year it would be where the boys would play ball, and then the other part they were going to bring in cows, which is what makes Memorial Gym a great place because it was never designed for live animals that cloven hoof. That was so Dr. Ropp was really pretty remarkable. So this story. They were down by 3 right at the end of the game. Bud Fry had been fouled. He was going to make the first shot. He was going to miss the second shot. It was going to come off the rebound to the side Dad was on. He was going to circle around, get it, shoot it back in, send it into overtime. He said Bud did everything perfect. It all worked out great. Ball bounced off. Dad got it. And he said it was just great. They were about to go in, and he said he shot it, and it just went completely over the goal, and they lost the game. And he told this to his grandchildren. He told this. So his summary of his life at Louisiana Tech was screwing up at the end of a game. It wasn't about all the rebounds or the points, but it was about screwing up things for his friend who did everything perfectly.
Well, even Hall of Famers aren't perfect. So somebody who did see your dad play was Leon Barmore. I talked to Coach early this week. He said watching Ray was quite an experience. I was in the 8th grade. I had never seen a Louisiana Tech game. I went over to Memorial Gym to watch. I was so excited and impressed. Ray Germany and Jackie Moreland stood out on that team. Ray was a really good rebounder. He was very smooth. He had a very good jump shot. I know Ray was very talented, fluid-moving wing player back then. He could really run the floor. He was not a one-skilled player. He was versatile, a total player. I'm so happy that he is being inducted into Louisiana Tech Hall of Fame, very deserving. Now, you did see your dad play one time, you told me, right on this court.
I did, yeah, and I want to say how great it is to hear Coach Barmore. And so Malcolm and I are friends with Shannon.
Coach
Have been for
Barmore's
a
daughter.
long time, and so we called him Leon. I don't know that we ever called him that
I
to
don't
his
call him
face,
that to his face, no.
but when he wasn't around, we called him Leon. And I do want to put in a plug for Rachel, who was my 5th grade teacher. If there's ever a Louisiana Teachers Hall of Fame, Rachel Barmore is a first ballot, in my opinion. My dad was a really good athlete. My wife's grandfather is Dub Jones, and he knew Jimmy Mize really well here. And he used to tell me the stories like, oh, yeah, when your dad was coming to Louisiana Tech, Jimmy was super excited because he thought he was going to talk him into playing football. And he also played baseball, and he didn't play here because he had a job in the cafeteria, and he needed the money from the cafeteria, so he couldn't play in the spring because of that. So it's a different era, right? I did get to see him. I looked back and found the dates. 1993, it was in this building. And I don't know, has anybody in here played in the Old Timers game or some version of that? Do y'all still do that?
They don't do that anymore.
So I think the Old Timers
Too many torn ACLs.
Too many. Dr. Bundrick passed away, and so the Old Timers game went away, I guess, at that same time. So it was here. Coach Barmore was playing. Like Emerson Wafer was playing. He was probably still in the best shape of all of them. And this was when they had the three-point line. And I think for everybody that played before the three-point line, they just assumed that they would have scored 50 times as many points as their official point score because they would have just been shooting. And so it was all of these older men here doing no defense and all wanting to shoot three-pointers. And I realized how good Coach Barmore was because he was just nailing things. And so they all were trying to outshoot each other. So my dad, red-faced, I thought he was going to die. I mean, I really like, so you're not in the right shape to do that. So he came down and he shot a three-pointer and he nailed it. Came down again the next time, shot a three-pointer, nailed it. He liked the word string music, right? Like, just beautiful. Came down the third time and they made sure to get him the ball, and he was out at what we would call Caitlin Clark range. And he just let it fly and he nailed it again and walked over to the scorer's table, checked himself out, and that was it. So he ended up his Louisiana Tech athletic career on top with a standing ovation. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, Kent, we appreciate you sharing some stories from your dad and his time here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm thank you to the memory of our newest Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Famer, the late Dr. Ray Germany.
Well, it would be impossible, but I hope you've had half as much fun as me and Malcolm and Ryan Ivy and Dr. Henderson tonight. We're so glad you're anybody need a juice box, or Rennie, you need a banana, cold towel? David, you good, Dave? All right, we're going to push through then. We're going to keep going, Chief. It's a real honor to introduce to you a bona fide high school star, but his career was almost cut short by a car accident before he reached the 12th grade. We're going to tell you about that. God had other plans for him and sent another Louisiana Tech Hall of Famer his way. And our next inductee showed up in Ruston to become an All-American linebacker, All-Gulf States Conference champ on teams that set the stage for Randy and them's and Roy's golden era. Since then, all but 4 of his grown-up years have been spent coaching teams. More than a dozen have been state champs. This is a guy who had 250 tackles in 69 and 70. He may tackle one of y'all at any moment. Welcome, All-America linebacker, Ronnie Alexander. Ronnie, not to start on a down note, but you told me you failed speech class how many times?
Well, I think I just repeated it one time.
Okay, just once. I'm from Dillon County, and so we're just going to mumble our way through this. Hopefully, it's not because of ego. But Ronnie told me he wished he'd have had this honor like 20 years ago. Can you tell everybody why?
What was his question?
It was, that's why. He said, yeah, you wish you'd have gone in 20 years ago because,
Yeah.
like Rickman, you've been hitting the head a whole bunch, he said.
Yep, I got the same problem.
Ronnie said, I wish I could remember half of this stuff. If I'd have gone in the mid-90s, I could have been a lot better at this. How'd you come back from a wreck that almost destroyed your leg, and then you hurt it again in practice, but...
Yeah, well, I got in this bad car wreck where I went through the windshield and broke both my legs, and
This when you're at North Caddo.
this when I was at North Caddo. Took place in a car wreck, but anyways, I go through the windshield, got a rear view mirror sticking in out of the back of my head, 2 broken legs, and I lived through that accident, and that spring, that was the very first day of two-a-days when I was a junior at North Caddo. And in the spring, I was back out there probably too soon playing football, and we're going through a tackling drill, and I break my leg again. And this time they had to graft hip bone and put a rod down through the middle of my leg, and you know, I thought my football career was over. I thought I was done. And so later that year, my folks moved to Shreveport. Well, it was the very beginning of my senior year, and I'm registering, going through registration there at Woodlawn High School, who is, I mean, I'd come from North Caddo, and Woodlawn looked like Louisiana Tech to me when I went there. It was a big school. But anyway, I'm going through registration, and Miss Sarah Williams, Coach A.L. Williams' wife, asked me if I was the Ronnie Alexander from North Caddo. I'm thinking, well, you must be thinking about my older brother, who is probably about 6'4" or 5". I was the midget of the family. I got 2 other brothers here. But anyhow, she said, no, I'm talking about you. And at that time, I played running back. I said, well, she said, I want to take you and introduce you to A.L. My husband's the head coach, and see if we can get you playing football. So I go back there, and she takes me out in front of Coach Williams, and we visit, and I tell him, good luck. I mean, there's no way my mother's going to let me play football again. You know, she had enough seeing me walk around on crutches. So, but I said, if y'all don't talk her into it, man, I'd be fired up. And they come to the house, and sure enough, they talked to my mom, and before they all left, she was going to allow me to come out for football. But my quad on my right leg was about maybe an inch smaller than the left one, and Coach Williams and them, of course, told my mother that they would take me to the doctor, and they wouldn't put me out there till I was released. So, anyways, make a long story short, had to build up my right leg, and it took me, I guess, about half the football season to gain that inch on my right quad, and where I would be released again. But make a long story short, got out there and got to play 4 or 5 football games my senior year. And I was fortunate in the fact that a man by the name of Coach Lee Hedges was over here coaching at Louisiana Tech because he and A.L. were close friends. And, of course, nobody was recruiting me. But
Good.
yeah.
I'm glad they did. I'm glad A.L. did. Sonny Cumming needs to know if you got a guy on the fence injury-wise, get A.L. to go talk to the kid's mother, and we'll get him over here. Maybe he'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. You had 29 tackles in a state fair game, but it was a game at the end of it. You were crying because y'all fixing to lose.
Yeah.
If you could share that.
That's when I was, I guess, about a junior.
Mm-hmm.
A guy by the name of Ken Liberto runs a deep post route. Bradshaw makes the long throw. It was, I guess probably it might have traveled about 50 or 60 yards in there. I can't remember. I was on the bench crying because we was getting beat by Northwestern. And so we throw a touchdown pass to Liberto. He catches it, goes in the end zone, flags all over the field. We get penalized, same play, that same post pattern, same play. The blonde bomber throws the ball, and Ken Liberto catches it, and we win the ball game.
So Ronnie, he was crying because they lost. Then he was crying because y'all won, but there was a flag, so he started re-crying, being sad, and then the same play again, started crying. That was a big deal, State Fair Stadium, packed stadium.
Oh, no doubt.
29 tackles for you guy over here.
Oh.
Hey, what are some of your other favorite memories from those teams, those late 60s teams and 70?
Well, you know, we went to a couple Grantland Rice Bowls. I mean, we had a couple great years and a couple years that weren't so great, but it's the friendships that I made with my teammates is what was really important to me. And to me, that is one of the biggest things that you can gain from football is making friends with guys that you're friends forever.
I mean, that's been a theme tonight about relationships, and I know how much they mean to you. You spent, since you left Tech, all but 4 years coaching. Was it harder to coach or harder to play linebacker?
I think it's a little harder to coach. Well, I mean, everybody's different. I mean, you got to find some way to reach them, and where you can get the best out of them. And it's not easy. All kids are different, but
I know y'all got the most out of your Evangel kids when they were whipping my mother's favorite team, who's a West Monroe Rebel, and I used to write you and Denny every year after y'all creamed the Rebels in the Superdome and said, why y'all keep picking on my mother? She would always get their tickets in September for the Superdome. But y'all brought a lot of joy to a lot of people through your coaching. I know it's not easy. Any guy who's done it like Randy will tell you. So God bless you for it. Is there anything else you want to tell your Tech family before you're officially inducted into the Hall of Fame? But besides, what are the chances of you one day being in the Fishing Hall of Fame? I know McGahee's got no shot, but you do.
Well, I doubt I'll make that cut.
Well, you're a great line. Anything else you want to share with the gang?
Huh?
Anything else you want to share with the Tech family?
No, it was probably, I don't want to say that. I really enjoyed Louisiana Tech. Appreciate the education I got. even though I had to repeat a couple classes, but I got them.
Yeah, join the club.
But no, it was a great experience.
He's a football player and a coach through and through, one of the all-time greats at Tech, a tackler and a teacher. Ronnie Alexander, welcome to the Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Fame, sir. Fumble. Ronnie Alexander, everybody.
All right, our final Hall of Fame inductee, he attended East Jefferson High School, Pensacola Junior College in southeastern Louisiana. He was a cross-country competitor, competed at the 1973 NCAA cross-country championships, came to Louisiana Tech in 1982 as a graduate assistant under Jerry Dyes. This was after coaching for a few years at Bonneville High School. He then served as the Louisiana Tech track and field and cross-country coach for 40 years. 36 years as the head cross-country coach, 34 years as the head track and field coach, the longest tenured ever. Guided Louisiana Tech teams to 21 conference team championships. In fact, he had a stretch of 7 years where his women's indoor and outdoor teams won 13 out of 14 conference titles. Earned 21 Coach of the Year honors in 4 different leagues, the Southland, the American South, the Sun Belt, and the WAC. His student athletes totaled 46 All-American honors, led Louisiana Tech's women to a 17th national finish at the 1999 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. He impacted the lives of plenty of Louisiana Tech cross-country and track and field student athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome Mr. Gary Stanley. Well, Gary, welcome back. You've been down in South Louisiana, I understand, since retiring?
A little bit, 3 years.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about what brought you to Louisiana Tech back in 1982. I know we've had a long relationship over the years. You've talked about Coach Dyes so many times. Just talk about coming to Tech.
Well, Jerry Dyes, and, I taught in high school for 3 years. We won a state title, second. I was tired of that. So I moved here, and everybody was talking about our fans were up here at 104, 210. I lived in this building on a high jump pit in the equipment room. They were paying me $400 a month, and I had to pay my own tuition and books. So I'm living on I'd meet people, they say, "Where do you live?" I said, "I live in the biggest house in Ruston." So that's what brought me here. And then Coach Dyes, I was here with Coach Dyes, the greatest track coach on the planet. And, he went back to his alma mater. And, I got the job.
I found a story that Keith Prince, another Louisiana Tech Hall of Famer, wrote back in 1982. It was released when you were hired. Jerry Dyes was quoted as saying, "We're delighted that Gary has decided to become a part of our program at Louisiana Tech. I think it will be mutually beneficial for Tech and Gary." 40 years later, I think that was a pretty good statement.
Well, he was a smart guy. So, I'll tell you up right away, I don't know, I was glad to see some people crying tonight.
Yeah, well, that's what these things are all about. We can get emotional sometimes. A lot of your success, I know you contribute to your coaching staff. During that stretch that I mentioned, you had 2 coaches in Larry Carmichael, who was here for 22 years with you. Sean Jackson was here with 17 years for you. Just talk about you trio.
Well, Sean's in the audience right there. And those guys, they didn't just coach a bunch of conference champions, a bunch of All-Americans. They coached Olympians. And our last Our last track meet together, we didn't know it, was at the London Olympics. We had 3 kids there.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for any school. We talked on the phone, you talked about the fact that you were coached in 5 different conferences during your time. I mentioned Southland American South Sunbelt WAC and Conference USA. You were laughing when we made the transition from the Sunbelt to Conference USA. That first year, how your teams weren't quite ready for Conference USA.
Well, it was close, but really it was the Sun Belt to the WAC.
Sorry, Sun Belt to the WAC.
And people
My
like,
apologies.
well, the WAC, I mean, that's Rice football. UTEP can't be that tough. I said, no, they got statues of the coach from UTEP in Nairobi. Rice has got 1 million All-Americans. So we got our Sun Belt rings on. I wore it tonight. So we roll into Reno, Nevada. We get in there after 2 days. I think it was 12 teams. Not only are we last, we have half the points of next to last. I sat Sean and Larry Carmichael down. I said, men, we got to get good or we're going to be gone. And we got good.
That was in 2001, 2002, so it would have been
Right.
in the spring of 2002, Louisiana Tech's first year in the WAC. And that run we mentioned started in 05, and from 05 through 11, the Louisiana Tech indoor women's team won 6 titles in 7 years. In 07, y'all finished as the runner-up. I'm not sure what was going on that year. And in those same 7 years, your outdoor teams won all 7 titles.
Yeah. It was a great run, and Sean and Larry were, like you said, Sean was with me for 17 years and Larry for 22. Most of my athletes couldn't handle me for 4 years. I don't know how the hell those guys did it, but they did, and we had a lot of great memories and a lot of great kids, and a lot of those kids are here tonight from Stockholm, Sweden to Simsboro, Louisiana.
Yeah, says a lot about you, Coach. I know you hosted a home cross-country meet every year. Eventually it was named the MOOC 4. You also hosted your outdoor meet every year, and both of those meets were really special to you.
Well, that'll make me cry.
So we'll go. You want to go to another subject?
Yeah. Go to
Okay,
another.
we'll try to go to another subject. I mentioned the longest tenure head coach in Louisiana Tech athletics history. I'm not talking track and field. I'm talking any sport. When you came here in 1982, could you have ever imagined being here for 40
No, I
years?
fooled a lot of people for a long time.
You're making this tough on me. All right. The next subject you wanted to talk about that you wanted to remind me, you wanted to talk a little bit about Jim Oakes and Mary Kay Hungate.
Yeah, they were great. Mary Kay's the hardest working person I've ever met, the smartest. She's in a bunch of Hall of Fames. She saved my job. She was next to the AD's office. And I would get all mad at some perceived slight to the track team, and sometimes it wasn't perceived. So I'd go storming down there to see the AD. Well, his door is closed because he's meeting with important people. Mary Kay's door is open. I go in there ranting and raving. If I go leave her, if I don't see her, I'm gonna go in there and get fired right then and there. So she would talk me off the ledge, And then Jim Oakes was really good to me. He was a great guy, great AD.
As you look back at those 40 years, does any one event, one moment, one championship stand out to you?
Well, those titles in the WAC, but the one in Hawaii where, we're going, a lot of these kids are never going to go there again. It's a conference championship. So I went to the CFO and I said, hey, I want to go a day early for this 4-day meet. They're like, Coach, we can't afford it. I said, yes, we can. They said, what you going to do? I said, all these teams get out there and they get those $5,000 a day Greyhounds. I've talked to some people out there. We're going to get some school buses. We get there and we get 2 buses, one for the luggage because they don't have racks, and then one for the kids. One of the kids says, Coach, I've ridden the Yellow Dog since high school. So, we win the meet, and we're getting on the Yellow Dog, and these other teams are pointing and laughing. Well, the old school buses, you can lower the window, right? Those trophies were big, whack, great trophies. I lowered the window, I stuck the trophy, I said, who's laughing now? But, that was it, and I wanted to thank my family, but I'll start crying.
Well, that's okay. Everybody's been crying tonight, so feel free.
They're there. Now, my brother was an All-American football player, first team All-Louisiana. And, he's got a son that's a professional baseball pitcher. My niece is a physical therapist and does triathlon, so they're doing pretty good. My sister was a big-time swimmer and went to some major programs to coach swimming. So that was pretty cool. We had 3 of us that went to college on athletic scholarships, which was very necessary.
Well, congratulations, Coach. Not only are you the longest tenured head coach in the history of Louisiana Tech Athletics, you're now a Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Stanley. All right, folks, while they are taking the final photo over here, I want to thank everybody who came out tonight. This has been a wonderful night. It's 8 very deserving individuals who have brought so much joy to Louisiana Tech and us as fans as well. We're going to have the singing of the alma mater and some just instructions. Once we're done with the singing of the alma mater, if our 8 Hall of Famers could all grab their plaques, make their way back up here to the stage, and we're going to take a group photo. When we're done with the group photo, they are free. You guys can come up. Y'all can take photos. You can visit however you want to do it, but that's what I would ask. So at this time, if everybody would please stand for the playing of the Louisiana Tech alma mater. Thank you and good night.